All right, folks, today we got a bunch of stories to bring you. Some stuff dealing with some changes Nintendo made in the most recent system update. This has to do with if you buy a console that has a game pre-installed on it, they changed how that functions and works, which actually is probably more user-friendly in the end. We have some brand new game announcements today as well that just dropped out of nowhere from companies like Bandai Namco and others. And honestly, it's just a jam-packed day full of news. So let's go ahead and get into this. After I remind you of a couple of things. One, no, we are not giving away 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders anymore. That giveaway actually ended yesterday. What we are going to be doing, however, is giving away 3 copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2. That comes out in January. You guys can go ahead and enter that down in the link in the pinned comment or the description. But setting that aside, we also have a great podcast tonight. We have special guest Reese Riley, otherwise known as Kiwi Talks. He has interviewed hundreds of game developers. He knows people who have worked on Metroid Prime 4 and other stuff. Last time he came on the podcast, we actually got the nugget from him about Fallout coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And sure enough, Fallout 4 was announced since last time he was on. It's coming to Switch 2. So who knows what new nuggets we might get tonight. He's coming on, special guest. It's our lead topic is talking to him and asking him questions. We'll obviously be talking about Metroid Prime 4 and several other topics as well. We got a really big special show for you guys tonight. That's let's go ahead and dive in here. And first go over the 21.0.0 system update, a change Nintendo wanted to make sure they noted to everyone. So over here, you can see if you purchase a Switch 2 that includes a bundled download-only software such as Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World Set, please connect the console to the internet and download the software from the eShop. So they kind of revamped the UI a little bit on this, according to Oatmeal Dome. And he says, game bundles in 21.0.0 will have an icon that will appear on the home menu to redeem that bundled game. Previously, you would need to know that opening the eShop would let you redeem the game. So yeah, you used to have to be like, hey, open the eShop. It'll prompt you to download the game that came with your system. Now there'll be an icon on your home screen. To me, this is just a great user improvement here, makes things more obvious, make sure people actually redeem their games. Because believe it or not everyone uses the eShop. I know it feels weird to say that in the time we live in, that nobody is, doing that. But I do think it's important to note that, we have a easy way now for people this holiday to be able to get their games that come with their system. All right, moving on here, we have a new trailer for a brand new announced game. No release date yet. We're talking about PGA Tour, baby. That's right. This is official. It's coming to Switch 2. This commercial is mostly featuring Tiger Woods and all of that, but he's the cover athlete. He's been the cover athlete for a while. Remember, they used to call this like Tiger Woods PGA Tour. Obviously, they've gone away from that a little bit as Tiger doesn't really compete competitively that much on the PGA Tour. He's still not retired or anything, but he's dealt with a number of injuries, of course. That being said, obviously, this is just announcing this game is coming to Switch 2. It says available to wish list, all of that. Yeah, that's cool. There's no actual information on when the game's actually coming. So that part sucks. There's no information on pricing. I would assume $70. But again, no information on when it's actually coming, just that it is coming. So, hey, look, new game announcements are always welcome. Also, how about this? How about a new announcement for One Piece Warriors 4? That's right, the Switch 2 edition has been announced and includes a free upgrade for Switch owners, and it's going to be later this month. So, yeah, ahead of the launch of One Piece Warriors 4, the Switch 2 edition later this week, Bandai Namco shared some new trailers for characters, including, DLC number 7, Future Island Egghead Pack, which will arrive on the same day. Once again, the upgrade pack will be free for existing Switch players when it launches on the 21st of November. But here's the update here. Alongside a new trailer for this week, Bandai Namco has confirmed One Piece Warriors Switch 2 Edition will set sail on the 21st of November. But more than that, we have this stuff going on down here with the original story. Talking about how Luffy and the Straw Hats and they voyage in search of the illustrious treasure. Look, this is just really cool. It's one of the most successful Warrior series they have in One Piece. Just wanted to remind people this is coming. And yes, it's a free upgrade for people who own it on Switch for getting it to Switch 2. So just really happy to see more and more companies offering that. It is always welcome. People would rather things be free than cost money. Next up, we have another new game announcement today, this time from Bandai Namco for Tales of Berseria Remastered. And I actually didn't play this game. Apparently, it's like an RPG from back in the day. But let's go ahead and watch the trailer here, as this is my first time really experiencing this. So I'm not really sure, much about this one. Like the Tales of series is one, that I'm aware of the Tales of series, but not this particular game. And look, it starts off kind of slow here. I don't honestly know what's going on. I never played this original game, but it's anime styled, as you're about to see, which is totally fine. There's a lot of games that are like that, and Bandai Namco is a Japanese company. Kind of makes sense. They have a number of anime style games, and yeah, it's an RPG. That's about all the information I personally have on this game. But you see here something that reminds you maybe of the Blood Moon from like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, but obviously this dated before those games. Like Blood Moon's nothing new. It's been in books, it's been in movies, it's been in lots of things. There it is, Tales of Berseria, assuming I'm pronouncing that right, remastered. It looks good. I mean, I don't really know how much of this is raw gameplay versus cutscene stuff. Versus, pre-rendered animations or any of that, obviously, because I never played the original. So I'm not sure what of this is gameplay and what of this is cutscenes, because to me, it kind of looks like it's entirely cutscenes, but maybe not. It's hard for me to know, again, because I never played the original. But yeah, it looks cool. That's all I can really say about this is it looks good. I'm always happy to see more games get announced for Nintendo Switch 2 and just Nintendo in general, because hey, it's not having to go elsewhere for games like this. This is obviously gameplay there. It just adds to more and more reasons to buy a Switch 2, or if you own a Switch 2, to make your purchase more satisfactory by giving you more games, more options. Look, guys, I think everything should come to Switch 2. I think that it's powerful enough for a vast majority of the games in the industry, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, there's some big name games out there we don't know about, like Witcher 4 or the new Fable game or the new Elder Scrolls or, GTA 6. Like, these are games we don't know if they're coming, but we are getting Resident Evil 9 Requiem, Final Fantasy 7. We're getting the entire remake series on that. Obviously, we're getting this one as well. Just happy to see more and more support coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's coming on February 27th. So there you go, coming to base Switch as well. Now, that being said, we have other announcements we need to go over here, and that includes, how about something from the guests that we're having on the podcast tonight? I told you guys, Reese Riley, aka Kiwi Talks, is heavily connected, hundreds of interviews. You should absolutely check out his channel. He's dropping interviews seemingly every single month, and he put out a tidbit here after the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, one of our headline stories yesterday, was announced. And it's this. I've been saying for a while, 2026 is the year the floodgates for third parties open for Switch 2. You are starting to see the prelude to this. There is one game in particular next year that will be a WTF moment. I can't wait to see people's reactions when it happens. Now, to be clear, he's not talking about Grand Theft Auto. He has other posts on his thing saying that he does not think GTA 6 is coming to Switch 2. He's been very adamant about this several times. He knows people at Rockstar and he hasn't heard anything about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that he would know about this, because it might not be being done by Rockstar. It could be being done by a third-party company. I have no clue, right? But he's very adamant that it's not coming, or at least he doesn't feel like it is. But the game he's talking about is, I don't know. Like, there is very few games that would surprise me. Monster Hunter Wilds might be one that would shock people because it doesn't run well on the PlayStation 5. I guess that would surprise some people. Maybe something like the new Fable game or the new Elder Scrolls or Witcher 4. I guess those would be shocking in some regards, but I'm at the point that I kind of just expect all of these games to come. So for me, I'm not really sure what that WTF moment game would be. We'll have to ask him about it tonight on the podcast. I don't suspect he's going to share anything, because if you go back and read a comment on here, he says, give us a hint, and he says he can't do it without giving it away. So I doubt he's going to give a hint tonight on the podcast, but you never know. We're probably going to have to ask him just to see what he says. Now, a game coming out this week, the headline game for Nintendo's holiday season, is Kirby Air Riders. Kind of a shocking game to be that game coming out right before Black Friday. That's not the game most of us expected to be the one that we're going to be talking about at this time of year, but it is, and it has indeed been reviewed, and the reviews are out to 78. Now, this 78 is 17 points higher than the 61 of the original, so by and large, it is considered significantly better than the original release. But even then, the reviews are kind of all over the place. When you read a lot of the reviews, a lot of them basically have tons of positives with only really 2 negatives. One of them being people that just don't like the control scheme. They don't get it. This one button control scheme really confuses them, even though it's actually quite simple. I think the confusing part is it's just so different from other racing style games or other battle style games. Like, it's simplified the controls so much that like it's so easy a kid can do it, but also we're used to more complex controls. So it is a little, it's different. That's all I can say. It's going to really be jarring for a lot of people that are used to more complex controls, because these controls are not complex and they're intentionally not so. But that's like one of the complaints that's out there. And the rest of them, like, it'll be like a 90% positive review. And then you get to the end and they're just like, I don't know, something just doesn't feel right. 7 out of 10. And you're like, what? Like Power Unlimited, Kirby Air Riders is playful, chaotic mix of races and minigames. The game is charming and energetic, but can sometimes be a bit too much. That's the thing. Like, they say this in the review, and I read this review, a bit too much, but it doesn't actually explain what a bit too much really means. Like, they can't articulate it. And this is what's weird about Kirby Air Riders, is it's very hard to articulate what you don't like about the game, because on paper, everything sounds great. When you watch it visually, it looks great. When you play it in your hand, it feels great. But for some people, something feels off. And I knew that was going to be the case with this. That's why I'm saying 78's actually pretty good for this. 78 would be disappointing for something like Metroid Prime 4. But for this, I think it's actually a really good review score. 78 is not a bad review score regardless. But also, it's coming off the fact the original was a 61. So a huge improvement from there. And I just have to note that I always felt like Kirby Air Riders, just like back in the day when it was Kirby Air Ride on GameCube, is a very misunderstood game. It's one of those that a lot of gamers have a hard time wrapping their mind around, because it's just so fundamentally different from the way we have trained ourselves on how these kind of games work. We have a specific way we expect racing games. We expect these racing style mini games. Like, we have these expectations in our mind of how this should work, and this game grabs all those expectations, tosses them in the trash and yeets them into the ocean, and then comes up with its own entirely simplified way of doing it. And it's so hard to wrap your mind around how simple the mechanics actually are, because you expect them to not be simple, because you're doing things that in other games you'd have to press like 1 or 2 different buttons to do, and here it's all just off of one. So look, I honestly have felt like this whole time that it would not be a game that reviews super well, because it's either you get it or you don't. Everyone's not going to like Kirby Air Riders, of course. That is totally fine. I think 78 is perfectly respectable for this game. I was hoping it might sneak into the 80s, but hey, 78's pretty solid. I think that bodes well for the people that already like the demo. If you played the demo, you're going to probably like the final release. That said, I got to remember, this is a game that has no more future content coming to it. No free updates, no content updates, no paid DLC. None of that's coming. It is complete in box for what you're getting. So it has to be, at launch, enough for you to justify that price. So hopefully it is. I'm very curious to see how well this sells. The original sold a little over 1 million units, which is actually impressive considering it was a GameCube game. Curious to see what it'll do now with a new life on Switch 2. Can it be a million seller, or is it going to fall just short of that? Time will tell. All right, folks. I am Nathaniel Rumpeljans from Nintendo Prime. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. That rounds up all of our stories today. It's been a fun one. I got to go. I got a lot I got to get to before tonight's podcast, including setting up tonight's podcast. So you guys are awesome, amazing. Make sure to tell someone today that you love them. Make sure you mean it, of course. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.